Hey everybody, welcome in to the State of Resource Management address. We'll get started here in about 30 seconds or so. So just hang tight, let some folks get a chance to join, and then we will get started. Those of you just coming in, we're gonna wait here another 20 seconds or so. Still a lot of people coming in. We'll get started here in just a few seconds. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So, hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. Welcome to the 11th annual State of Resource Management address. So, we're glad you're with us. Want to thank you for being here again. 11th annual. It's a pretty exciting thing, and we're excited to have you join us and share everything that's going on in the world of resource management. First, we want to, before we get started, just give a big shout out. Thank you to our sponsors, Dayshape and Cantata. Without them, we're not able to put on this event and many others that we do throughout the year. So again, thank you, Dayshape and Cantata. If you're new to the RMI, if you haven't heard of us and somebody invited you to come, just wanted to share a little bit about who we are. And so we are dedicated to the advancement of resource and workforce management, thought leadership, leading practices, education, and standards. We do that a number of different ways, and I'm not going to read the screen to you, but just to highlight a couple of things that we do. We do have quarterly market research and benchmark data that we publish, so you can take advantage of that. We do have a globally recognized RM training and certification program called RMCP. And I know many of you that are on here today have already been through that. If you haven't, we'll tell you a little bit more about that in just a little bit. And then we have our industry networking and collaboration events. And so again, we'll give you some more details on those here in just a little bit. And we are over 4,000 members in our RM community. And so if you have not joined the RMI, we are always taking new members, and so you can hit the website there at the bottom, resourcemanagementinstitute.com. If you can get your phone out quick enough, there is a QR code on there that you can scan. But you can see a screenshot of our website there. There's a join button there in the top right. You'll get access to those some of the thought leadership white papers we have out there, some of our market research that's out there as well. You'll be in our email list, so we'll let you know about events like this and other things that are coming up, and then you can access some of the previous events that are out there as well. So a lot of good information out there for you. All right, let's get to the main event. So Ryan Childers is our managing director of the Resource Management Institute. Ryan's been involved in the RMI since its inception and has been a key contributor to all the things that we do at the RMI since the very beginning. And so Ryan, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Thanks, Nick. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 2025 edition of the State of Resource Management. Really glad to have you here with us. A lot of good things happening in resource management that we're going to talk about here today. And it's kind of interesting. As I was putting this together, I went through a period of reflection and kind of thinking about where we've been in resource management and where we are today. And one of the things that really came to mind for me is I'm going to take you back in time to December of 2014. So a little while ago. We've all slept a few times since then. But in December of 2014, I remember sitting around a table in the lobby of a Courtyard hotel, of all places, outside of Denver, and sitting with, the RMI was founded by RTM Consulting. And I was sitting with some of the folks from RTM Consulting, and we were brainstorming, how do we expand the reach of resource management? How do we turn this discipline into a bigger thing to serve those that are in the resource management space? And so what we left that table and that evening with was the foundation and the framework for what became, in early 2015, the very first State of Resource Management address. Now, here we are on number 11. Really, really cool to look back and kind of, again, think about where we've been and where we are. And I'll tell you, at that time, I was a week on the job with RTM Consulting and sitting around and just planning this thing out. And so we've had a lot of opportunities to address the RM community and really cultivate, the learning and development we've all gone through. So really, really cool. Let's get to this year's State of Resource Management address. And I'll tell you, we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to take a trip back through 2024, and we're going to look at 2024 through a couple of different lenses. We're first going to look at some of the macroeconomic themes that we all saw and experienced. So we'll talk about that, and then we'll quickly pivot into some of the things that we saw resource management-wise as well. And then I'll come in and I'm going to share some observations that will help set us up for success in 2025. And so from a macroeconomic standpoint, in 2024, what is it we saw? What is it we experienced? Well, we saw continued labor shortages and skill gaps. I know many of our organizations faced hiring challenges, whether that was due to a scarcity of quality candidates, job openings surpassing all of our available job seekers. We saw in a lot of regions across the globe and in a lot of organizations, we experienced some global political instability or geopolitical instability and economic volatility. I know that impacted a lot of our organizations. We saw some increases, right? Some technological advancements and AI integration, a lot of good things. I'll tell you, we're going to talk a little bit about AI today, so you can expect we'll expand on this in a big, big way. We saw continued demographic shifts, and our population continued to age. We saw continued evolution of employee expectations and work models. And so all of these things had some pretty big implications. Our labor shortages and skill gaps necessitated targeted upskilling and reskilling programs. The instability we faced forced a lot of organizations to mitigate some of the risks associated with that fluctuating economy and some of the conditions we were experiencing. The advancements in technology and AI enhanced efficiency in a lot of places and also highlighted the need for some workforce adaptation. And where we're going to go with that and what we saw and experienced, we have to develop some new skills. I'll tell you, we're going to talk about that today as well. The demographic shifts and aging population, it only intensified the competition for talent. And the evolution of our employee expectations and work models required us to continue the adjustment to maintain productivity and keep employees satisfied, keep them engaged as well. And so through all of those underlying issues and uncertainties, we had to adapt. Our organizations had to adapt. And I'll say in resource management, we weren't immune to that as well. And we had to adapt. We had to adapt some of our strategies. So what did we see in resource management? So some of the themes from 2024. I'm going to take you back to April of 2024 at RMGS. We talked about the eras that resource management has gone through, and we drew a line at the year 2000 and worked our way forward. And so resource management has gone through an identity era, an era of maturation where we got a lot more professionalized as a discipline. And where we are today is we're in the midst of a really exciting era, the era of expansion. And so the expansion era, the way I would characterize it is, by simply looking at the fact that there's more talk, there's more articles, there are more webinars about resource management than ever before. And for all of us in resource management, how cool is that, right? It's super cool for the thing that we get up and we get to work on every single day. We know resource management has the attention of the C-level. And executives are viewing resource management as a strategic vehicle to help their organization scale. RM discipline is being picked up in a lot of organizations and moved over to other parts of the organization to help those teams better manage their human capital, better manage their people. And of course, we're seeing the rise of RM-only automation tools and of course, AI. And so the expansion era of resource management offers us a whole bunch of opportunities. First and foremost, it's offering us in resource management the opportunity to take the scope and the potential of what it is we do and increasing it. It's giving a chance to add more value to more areas across our organizations. I'll say a little bit selfishly here, RM skill sets are becoming even more broadly marketable. And what we're seeing in the marketplace is more organizations starting to target RMCPs for their open resource management roles. So Nick mentioned our RMCP training and certification program. Having the letters RMCP after your name is becoming a bigger and bigger deal. And so again, I think about the expansion era as being all about opportunity. And for us to be successful in the expansion era of resource management, we have to continue to focus on really three things here. The continued pursuit of excellence. So continue to improve the efficiency, the effectiveness, and the quality of what it is we do in resource management day in and day out, and looking to strive to improve the way our resource management processes operate and the value that we create. And I'll tell you, we're going to press on that word value in a whole bunch of places, not only today, but all throughout 2025. That's going to be a big focus for all of us, and especially for us as an institute. So creating value for our customers as an organization, the resources that we're responsible for keeping busy, and our stakeholders as well. There's that word again. We have to increase our commitment to value. So continue to demonstrate the value of resource management. Not only demonstrate that value, but we have to increase our ability to amplify and communicate the value that resource management and our RMOs are creating for our organization, and use that value then as a springboard to expand to other parts of our organizations. And the ambition. We have to have the ambition and recognize that expansion is a really good thing for all of us, and particularly for our organization. Pursuing a greater seat at the table, looking beyond traditional plays for resource management. I'll tell you, I had a really good conversation with my friend Christine Robinson last week, and we were talking about all the different ways resource management is being picked up and moved to other parts of the organization beyond the traditional ball field that we tend to play on, which is client delivery, right? So other areas of the organization can take advantage of the good stuff that we do to maximize the efficiency and the effectiveness of our resources. And then seeking opportunities to, again, provide greater impact and value across our organization. So three things we really have to focus on. So what lies ahead in 2025? I think what we'll see, much like any other year, it's going to be littered with both opportunity and challenges. And it kind of depends on your perspective. Are you a glass half full or a glass half empty person? We're going to see a whole bunch of things happen in 2025. Pick your opportunity or challenge of choice. There in the middle portion of the slide, a lot of things we're going to face again. And I think these will all create opportunity for us in resource management, but they'll also present some challenges that we're going to have to work through. And through it all, our commitment to effective resource management as a discipline is going to absolutely be paramount to our success and to our organization's success as well. So with that, I want to offer 4 observations to help us propel into 2025 and to be successful. So I'll share 4 observations. I'm going to back those observations with a lot of research, some from the RMI, some from outside the RMI, and we'll share some leading practices as well. So let's get into them. Observation number 1, data is a big deal. Data is the new oil. We have to treat it as such, and we have to focus on good quality data in 2025. I'm going to start this with a simple statement that very candidly, I think is a little choppy, and it's choppy on purpose. And we're going to talk about it, and we're going to rewrite it. And it goes like this. The difference between well-prepared resource management data and inadequately aligned resource management data is the difference between reliable, actionable insights and costly errors that erode trust in resource management. Now, I chose this statement for a reason. The first thing that comes to mind for me is a scenario that I'm sure all of us in resource management can think about and where we found ourselves in. And so I'll paint the picture this way. Pick your resource management meeting of choice. Could be a staffing meeting, could be a meeting to review the sales forecast, could be an interlock, whatever that meeting is. Resource management has the stage, and we're presenting hopefully some resource management data. We're using data to drive actionable insights and help the organization make some form of a decision, right? We've all been in that situation. And someone in that meeting either raises their hand or comes off of mute, whatever the setting is, and they say, hey, wait a minute, where'd you get that data point from? That doesn't look right to me. And immediately the entire tone in that meeting changes. It changes because now resource management data is on trial. And we're going to litigate the accuracy, the reliability, the timeliness of the data that we're presenting and trying to drive towards actions with. right? We've all been in that situation. It's not fun and it's not good. We've got to focus on this. I'm going to take that point. I'm going to expand it just a little bit further. We still see and hear a whole bunch of issues when it comes to resource management data. And this is coming straight out of the RMCP classroom and the RM community that we interact with, all of our customers, right? And I would guess many of these points will hit home for many of you. Our sales data is not accurate. I just had this conversation last week. There's an organization that has waved the white flag and said, we're not even going to focus on getting sales data right from the pipeline because we can't control it. We've got to get our house in order first. We know we have issues with sales data. Our business is fluid and changes a lot. And when it changes, it disrupts the house of cards that is resource management. If only our PMs would maintain their project plans and the underlying resource plans. We have demand coming at us from many different directions and in many different formats. If we could just get a consistent format, if we could just get more visibility into extensions, life would get a lot better. And so the bottom line is we know our data issues in resource management persist, whether that's an availability issue, a timeliness issue, or a quality issue. The call to action is we have to prioritize in 2025. If we haven't already, we have to prioritize data governance. And I'm going to pull out a data point from one of our RMI surveys, and this comes from our RM governance survey. 85% of the leading inhibitors to resource management governance can be tied right back to a lack of well-defined resource management processes that in turn help support good quality data that we're counting on for decision-making purposes. We have to do better. But wait. Technology, and especially AI, can fix this, right? That's the silver bullet that we're going to ride into fixing our issues with data. That's a quote we've used a jillion times, and we've gotten a good kick out of it every time. And it's one of those things that's funny because of how much truth it actually contains. There's no way that's going to be true. So I'm going to give you a different way to think about it. I'm going to give you a different quote. The difference between success and failure in AI initiatives, so we're going to tie AI in here, but we could broaden this out to technology in a little bit bigger way. It's not just about having the right tools or the right talent. It's about whether your data is truly AI ready. And I'm going to append to that something that we've been saying for a while now. For AI and technology to work, your underlying resource management processes and data have to be accurate. And so the implication of all of this is we have to get started on getting our data right, and we have to do it now. And so it's a product of garbage in, garbage out. And so 3 steps. You've seen these before. Many of you have seen these before. 3 steps. We sharpen one. I'm going to press on it a little bit. First and foremost, we have to make sure we're capturing the right resource management data. If you don't have your arms around all of your resource management data, you got to do that, and you've got to do that first. And then iterate through it and look to perfect it. And I think the words right underneath the ball there in the center of the screen, I think are super powerful. Perfect your data for use without question. Circle right back to that scenario I painted where your data is on trial, right? This is what we've got to work to avoid. Perfect it for use without question, and then look to automate it and apply good governance in behind it. So adopt automation brought on by innovation. And so let's go back to that statement I led off with when I said data is the new oil. The difference between well-prepared resource management data and inadequately aligned RM data is the difference between reliable, actionable insights and costly errors that erode trust in resource management. Let's take this. I think this paints a negative picture, right? It made its point, but we're going to rewrite it. And the goal for us in 2025 is to have well-prepared resource management data that enables reliable, actionable insights that build trust and create value. There's that value word again. Create value in resource management. That's 2025. All right, let's move on to observation number 2. Let's talk AI. Big topic. Everyone's talking about it. We're going to press on it here. AI is going to be the vehicle that enables resource management to become even more strategic to our organizations. So where are we? Where are we with AI? I'm going to bring in a few different data points here. So this one, a couple of these come from McKinsey & Company. In a couple of studies that they ran, they found that over 70% of organizations have implemented AI in at least one of their business functions. But despite that, only 11% of organizations have implemented AI at scale. I would guess that those 2 points hit home for a lot of you and in a lot of our organizations. Let's go get some RMI data. So in Q1 of last year, in our Inhibitors to Effective Resource Management survey, we asked the question, so this is of the RMI community, are you currently using AI features to support your resource management initiatives? And at that point in time, 90% said, no, we are not. I think these numbers are about to change and change pretty dramatically. I think we'll see some of that in 2025, an exciting, exciting time in the technology space, in resource management, particularly with AI. And so let's just simply step back and think about what's coming. What's likely to happen when it comes to AI? Where are we likely to see some benefits? And so first and foremost, AI is promising to increase efficiency. And so the way we envision that happening is through the automation of routine resource management tasks, whether it's scheduling, tracking, reporting, whatever it might be. The cool thing in this, and the thing that I think I'm most excited about, is that's going to create time. It's going to create some time for us in resource management, time that we can reinvest in more strategic initiatives, adding more strategic value to our organizations. It's also going to give us more predictive analytics. So its power is using historical data to help us with things like forecasting future resource needs, greater accuracy. It's going to give us greater insight, enhance our decision-making process. So quickly analyzing big data sets, predicting those future trends, that's going to give us the opportunity to create greater value for our organizations as well. Along those same lines, dynamic adaptability, better scenario planning, so even greater value that we'll likely be able to provide to our organizations as well. And so AI, and this is something that we've been talking about with our advisory board, we've been talking about with a lot of RM members, is starting to understand, what does RM look like in a future with AI? How might AI impact the RM role? And I think there's a couple of ways to think about it. I'll go back to the glass half empty, glass half full metaphor here and say, a couple of ways I think about it is, okay, if AI does what it is promising to do and it reduces the routine and the manual part of resource management, how does that change the role of an RM? I think that's a valid question to ask. Or we could think about it this way. What if we reimagine what's possible for resource management and us as resource managers in the expansion era in a future with AI? I think option A, I don't like it because I think it concedes more of a diminished view of the role of a resource manager. And it kind of says, okay, hang on. If it takes all those things, the manual and laborious things of resource management off the table, what's going to be left for us? What are we going to have left to do? I don't like that. What I like is option B. It allows us to shift our focus to how we can create more strategic value, enabling us to collaborate and innovate in ways technology can amplify but never replace. And to me, I think, and I hope you all will agree, I think that presents a more exciting future for all of us. And that's really, really cool. One of the questions we get asked a lot, and I actually answered this question on a podcast recording last week. What should I start doing now as an RM professional, and what should my RMOs start doing in order to get ready for AI? And the best advice I would offer is, I think I would start with education. I would focus on education. So increasing your awareness of AI, I'll say in general, and I'll say that because, starting to just consume some of the things that are out there, even beyond resource management around AI. And I would also look at what we're putting out as an institute, what PSA, PPM providers, whoever your PSA and PPM or RPM provider is, start consuming the information that they're putting out. And they're putting out a lot of information. So start consuming some of that. I think education is really important. And I want to go back to a conversation we had with the RMI advisory board at our January meeting. So just a couple of weeks ago. And a few of our RMI advisory board members said this and said it really, really well. AI is promising to do a lot of cool stuff, a lot of opportunities, a lot of cool things. But a place where I would start to get educated as well is on some of the risks that AI in general poses, and think about how those risks are going to be handled in our organizations. So the one that came up and the board really emphasized was the idea of candidate fraud. And you start to look at that and say, okay, well, that's a little HR-y, and it is. but we'll have resources that come in that may have used AI assistance to get hired and get through the vetting process and all those things. Another way to think about it is if our organization is utilizing third parties as part of our labor mix, what vetting process are those third parties using when they're bringing candidates into their organization? So just an easy example to start to think about and start to get educated on. And there are many, many others out there that we need to think about as well. And so again, the call to action here is about increasing our awareness and starting to become even more educated on the good things with AI, but then also some of the risks as well. And then start to think about how AI will integrate into your RMO. So starting to cast a vision, what use cases are going to impact your RMO, what use cases are going to help your organization, and really get your arms around that. And then, of course, we're going to press on data again. So get your processes and your data right and do that right away. And then think about this a little bit personally. And this was another part of the podcast recording from a week ago. Think about your personal development. Think about your professional development. So if you are envisioning a future in resource management with AI as part of that equation, what skills do you need to develop? What skill sets do you need to evolve and make it to where you're still a productive part of your RMO and still adding value to not only your RMO, but your organization as well. And so I think there's a good exercise to be had there and a good exercise to go through. And I'll tell you, we're going to give you some really good hints on this here in just a second. So with that, let's pivot. Let's pivot to observation number 3. I told you we're going to press on value, and we're going to do that here. Our commitment to value in resource management is something that we absolutely have to increase. And I'll tell you, our big event of the year is coming up in just a couple of months in April, and it's RMGS 2025. I'm going to tell you a lot more about the event here a little bit later, but for now, what I want you to understand is as an institute, we're going to continue talking about the value of resource management, the ways we create value in resource management and as an RMO. And I'll tell you, this is a place where we're going to put our money where our mouth is a little bit. The entire theme of RMGS 2025 is about amplifying the value of resource management. That's how important this is for all of us in resource management. And so let's talk about it. So demonstrating the value of resource management, in order to do that and elevate our strategic importance within our organization, we need to focus on 3 things. First and foremost, we have to make sure resource management is aligned with organizational goals and objectives. And I'll tell you, this is something that's not new. This is something that we've been talking about for a long, long time. And this particular point comes right out of the RMCP training and certification program, the curriculum. In that program, we say resource management, in order to be strategic, needs to be integrated with the overall organizational strategy to ensure effective use of employees and provide better return on investment. That's getting to value. Getting to value. We also have to show measurable impact. So using data, what impact, what benefit is RM having on things like the outcomes we're looking to get to through effective resource management? Utilization, project performance, customer satisfaction, employee satisfaction, right? How do we demonstrate that measurable impact? We'll talk about each one of these things. And then the one that's really difficult, how do we increase our ability to communicate the value that resource management and our RMO is creating for our organization? So with data in hand and an understanding of the impact we're having, can we articulate the value of resource management? Let's press on each one of these. So first and foremost, we said we need to align resource management with business objectives. And I'm going to pull a couple of data points from a collaborative survey we ran in Q4 of last year. So we run a series of collaborative surveys with technology providers, and this particular one was with Dayshape. If you haven't checked this one out, there's a lot of really, really good information in it. It's on the economic impact of resource management on project profitability and revenue. One of the questions that we asked in that survey was, to what extent do your resource management practices align to the strategic objectives of your organization? Now, Here's what the data came back as. And again, this is from RMI members answering this question. Same thing on the question I'm going to show you here in just a second. The good news is 87% of respondents to that survey and that survey question indicated that resource management practices in their organization are at least partially aligned to their strategic goals and objectives. So positive sign, right? Really good. We'll take that. We could do a little bit better on the partly aligned, but we'll take it, right? We'll take it here. We asked another question. To what extent are your resource management practices aligned to your organization's revenue objectives? Similar results. 88% were at least partially aligned. 88% of respondents at least partially aligned. So I'm taking this as good news that thing one that we need in place here, thing number one, we're doing a pretty good job of checking the box here. So where is it we need to focus? Let's think value. So how do we demonstrate value and show measurable impact of resource management? I want to back up for just a second. I want to challenge you to think about what good looks like in resource management. The way we've defined it is good looks like when your RMO or your resource management function has the ability to consistently and predictably get the right person in the right place at the right time. That's the foundation of our just-in-time resourcing framework and process solution for effective resource management. If we can consistently and predictably get right person, right place, right time, it leads to the outcomes you see there on the right side of the screen that we're all trying to drive towards, right? So better project performance, so more on time, on budget delivery, better quality, and fewer project failures. That's what we can do to add value to our organization. That's one of the things we can do. Improve utilization of human capital. And we know small improvements in utilization can have a big, big impact on our financials, on the organization's bottom line. The chart you see at the bottom of the screen comes right out of our RMCP training and certification program. And what this is doing is it's using a simple example to show if through effective resource management, if we were to be able to raise utilization by 1 point across our delivery pool, by 5 points, by 10 points, by 15 points, what impact would that have on revenue? What impact would that have on our margin, right? And you can tailor that example to the size and the scale of your organization. But the bottom line is small improvements in utilization can have a big, big impact. And that is one way we can tangibly show the value of what it is we're doing. We also produce better customer satisfaction. And number 4 is probably one of my favorites. Who wouldn't sign up for a less chaotic working environment? We're not shuffling people and resources around from project to project, service to service. That goes a long way towards reducing our attrition numbers and improving our employee satisfaction numbers, our employee engagement numbers as well. These are all easy things that we can do in resource management that have a big impact and show value to our organization. Now for the hard part. The hard part is figuring out how to communicate it. And this is a place where I'll tell you, we've been watching this, we've been studying this as not only an institute, but as RTM Consulting, our founding company as well. We've been in this space for a long, long time, and a place where we still see operations folks, we still see delivery resources, we still see leaders struggle, and that's in the ability to find the right words to communicate in value terms. And so, what you say and how you say it goes a long way towards determining not only how well your message is understood, but how it's received, how it's taken in by whoever you're communicating with, how it's remembered, and how it's acted upon. And so some of the tips that we find is when we're trying to figure out how to communicate value, we've got to use data and quantify the value, right? So all those things I showed on the last slide are all ways we create value. How can you put data behind them and put it in terms that resonate with organizational stakeholders that you're communicating with and make it really, really practical for them? We can also use tools like the RMO Charter and the Balanced Scorecard Management System, use those kinds of tools as resources to help amplify and communicate the value resource management is creating for the organization. Now, I'll tell you, I've said it before, I'll say it again, this is hard. It's hard to do. We know it's a challenge. And so this is a place where we're going to step up as an institute, and at RMGS 2025, we're going to teach this. So I know we run a lot of educational sessions, share a lot of leading practices. one of our RMCP and soft skills instructors, one of our lead instructors, is going to roll up his sleeves and he's going to teach good communication skills for resource managers. And he's going to teach how to articulate value for all of us in resource management, be able to sound the horn and show the value, communicate the value that we're creating in resource management because the data is there. The results are there. We have to figure out how to communicate it. So we're going to do everything that we can, especially at RMGS, in a session to do that. So that's one to really, really look forward to. Okay, that is a great segue into observation number 4 for 2025, and it's our interpersonal skills. Interpersonal skills in 2025 are going to become the true differentiator in the future of work. And so I'm going to give you a quote. There have been just a handful of moments over the centuries when we have experienced a huge shift in the skills our economy values most. We are entering one such moment now. Now, this is a quote that came from the New York Times in February of last year, so fairly recent. I'm going to take an exception with it. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to point out the last sentence in the quote. We're entering one such moment now. I would argue it's no longer true. We're not entering that moment now. We're in the thick of it. We're in the thick of that moment right now, and our interpersonal skills are going to be absolutely essential to our success. So I'm going to take us back to something that we've defined, again, for a long, long time, and that's the definition of what skill set a resource manager needs to possess. And so, no surprise, we would say as resource management professionals, we need to possess a well-rounded skill set. And for us, we put those skills into 3 categories. You have to know how your company is conducting business, and that's your general company, your HR norms, filling out your time card, logging expense reports, all of those kinds of things. And what I would tell you, and what we tend to see, is most organizations are pretty good through the HR organization and through the operations team, pretty good at not only training all of us on how to do these things, but make those things stick. And so we know how to operate and get that part of the job done. So that skill set, I think that portion of our skill set is pretty easy and pretty well developed. The second category is our RM process knowledge and the knowledge of how to execute those processes in whatever our technology solution is. And so, again, this is a place where, whether it's through the RMCP program or whether it's through, getting enabled on your technology solution through your training your technology provider puts out there, or being thrown into the deep end of the pool and figuring it out on the fly. Again, most of us tend to get there on how to do the hard skills, the RM and technology portion of our job. And so that's one that has come a long way in terms of our overall development. The place we've got to press, no surprise, is in category 3. It's our interpersonal skills, or what we think of as the art of being a good resource manager. And so this is what we would identify, this is what we would observe as needing to impact, or an opportunity to impact, our ability to be successful in resource management. But I'll tell you this, it's bigger than us. And so you can take my word for it, you can take our word for it, or go out and just look around ever so slightly. Pick your quote of choice, pick your statistic of choice. The quote that comes to mind for me here is one from hockey great Wayne Gretzky. And a long time ago, he said, don't skate to where the puck is, skate to where the puck is going to be. This is where we've got to start skating. We've got to invest in our own development, our team's development, if we're RMO leaders, in our interpersonal skills. We've got to get better in this regard. And so the list is pretty, it's a pretty extensive list, but it's a pretty powerful list. The skills to invest in are adaptability. We're about to face an immense amount of change. We have a whole bunch of opportunities in front of us. We have to be resilient and have to be adaptable. We have to possess a strong degree of emotional intelligence. Think about all the people we interact with, being able to think about things from their perspective, walking a mile in their shoes, really, really powerful. We have to become more creative and put our problem-solving hat on, thinking more strategically. Positive sign, right? The fact that resource management is tied back in a lot of organizations to strategic goals and objectives, tied back to revenue, that's a good thing. Elevate our strategic thinking, increase our data literacy and our ability to not only analyze data, but to be able to synthesize what it is we're seeing and be able to communicate it. Increase our analytical thinking, Sharpening our communication skills, again, a place we're going to press and really step up to try to help all of us at RMGS, and then increase our executive presence. We've been talking about that one for a while. That was actually a session at RMI Connect, I think a couple of years ago, was increasing our executive presence as resource management professionals. And so look, it's simple. Our future success is going to depend on our ability to balance the advancements that are coming in technology with having good human-centric interpersonal skills. We're going to get a boost from AI in efficiency, automation, insights, predictive analytics, all of those things. But it will boil down to the mastery of interpersonal soft skills that's going to set us as professionals apart. And then if we can simply find a way to develop those skills, that will go a long way towards bridging the gap between technology and human connection. And the big piece to that last puzzle piece there is the lasting trust, creating unique value, and helping us remain agile, resilient, and indispensable in our future, which will undoubtedly be AI driven. So we've got to get there. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of a teaser here, and then we're going to pivot to some of the things that are coming from the RMI in 2025. And so, again, our founding company, RTM Consulting, we've been studying and teaching soft skills for a long time. And we've primarily focused on doing that for delivery practitioners. And so our training practice in 2025 here in the very near future is about to release a 2-part white paper called Future Proofing the Workforce. And in that, we talk about next-gen consultative soft skills in the AI era. So it's a 2-part paper. Part 1 should be out, here in the next few weeks, maybe a month. Something to look forward to. But I think the power in this is a quote that comes right out of that paper. And it goes like this: while AI can handle repetitive tasks, the true differentiator in the future of work will be the interpersonal soft skills that build trust, drive relationships, and create positive, memorable interactions. If there's not a focus on interpersonal soft skills, professionals run the risk of getting left behind. And I think that's a really, really powerful statement through the research that our training practice has done and has really focused on. I think there's a little bit of, I hate to stoke a little bit of fear here, but I think it's more about preparation and preparation for being successful in a future with AI. And so with that, I'll summarize by going back through our 4 observations for success in 2025. We've got to get our data right. Data is the new oil. AI is going to be the vehicle that helps us become more strategic, but we have to increase our commitment to value and press on our interpersonal soft skills. That will be the true differentiator in the future of work. Now, with that, I want to give you a preview of what's ahead in 2025. So I'll save RMGS for just a second here, and I'm going to focus on what we have in terms of some of our events and research. So one of the things, if you're new to us, we run quarterly power-up sessions. Our next session is on March the 5th, and it's going to focus on one of the tools I mentioned earlier, and that's the RM Charter. So we'll talk about how to build and maintain the RM Charter. These are, by the way, power-up sessions are free. They are 30 minutes. We run one a quarter. And so for RMI members, you're welcome to join and take it in. We record all of them. So if you can't attend live, you can always catch up with the recording. In 2025, our additional topics beyond the RM Charter: digital transformation for RM. That's always a really, really popular power-up session. Data and analytics, so pressing on good data hygiene, good data governance, and then AI and resource management. So a topic we just covered in the 4th quarter of last year. We're going to bring the topic back. We'll have a little different focus and take advantage of some of the learnings that we'll all go through all throughout 2025 as well. Our quarterly market research. So we run quarterly surveys that we then turn into research reports. Our Q1 survey, we just closed it this week. So our data scientists are banging away on the data and starting to analyze it. It's on RMO organizations, so a lot of good data points that we're all going to be able to take advantage of. We'll also focus in 2025 on the profession of resource management, and we'll do that study through the lens of resource managers and RMO leaders. We'll also have a study on skills tracking and management, and then digital RM automation tools as well. The cool thing about our survey series this year is they're all trend surveys. So we'll be able to compare and contrast what we see this year as it relates to some of our previous data. So should be some really, really good insights that we're anticipating coming out of those surveys and those research reports. Little bit of a save the date there at the bottom of the screen. RMI Connect will be back for 2025, September the 23rd and 25th. So good opportunity to connect within the RMI community through this virtual event. We'll have a lot more information coming as we get into some of the summer months. So something to look forward to there. All right, the big event for us is coming up. April will be here before we know it. So April 7th through the 9th, RMGS is coming. This will be the 6th annual event. This is our in-person event. It will be back at the JW Marriott in Indianapolis, Indiana for a second year. Theme of this year's event is amplifying the value, again, of resource management. We have a great lineup of keynote speakers planned, panel sessions, technology provider-led sessions, and RMI member-led sessions as well. We're going to be announcing the agenda, putting that out on our website in the coming weeks, and then sharing some of our speakers as well, so you can look forward to that. If you want to connect with the RM community, if you have a little bit of opportunity to get out of the office or get out of your home office and get to an in-person event, this is the one you want to put on the calendar. Registration is open. We do have team discounts in place that start at 5 team members from the same company. So if you want to bring your team, reach out to our RMI mailbox, and we'll be happy to help you and get you all the information you need there. So we hope to see you in Indianapolis. Other tools that you can take advantage of. Nick mentioned our resource management thought leadership white papers. These all have QR codes that you can scan right next to them. So if you want to get right to our page on the website, you can follow those QR codes. The RM maturity model, so big focus of RMI Connect. If you haven't put your organization through a maturity assessment, we have some free models that are out there that you can do that. All of our market research is available to RMI members, so you can go back through the library of market research reports. Our quarterly Power Up series, you can access recordings of previous sessions, and then you can see our upcoming schedule as well. The RMI Collab community is our online venue where you can crowdsource challenges you're going through, ask for advice. You can post job openings. If you're in the market for a new role, you can post that out there as well. So if you follow the QR code, you can join the Collab community and take advantage of all of that. One thing we haven't talked about that we will talk about in a big way in the coming months is our Resource Management Institute advisory services. And so the RMI team is poised to help with your resource management initiatives, whether you need bandwidth, you need RM expertise, or you simply need outside perspective to help move something forward in your organization. The RMI team can harness the full capabilities of the RMI, all of our research, all of our data, all of the insight that we've gained since our inception to help RMI members in that regard. Again, we'll talk more about this in the coming months. If you want to check out a little bit of a preview, we do have it out on our website, so you can follow the QR code there and get more information. We have a big year planned for RMCP, our training and certification program, specifically designed for resource managers, where we teach our just-in-time resourcing brand of global resource management. The full slate of class sessions that we have, you can see it there on the screen. We have a whole bunch of virtual instructor-led sessions that are kicking off February the 11th, and you can see some of the other dates we're offering them. And then we'll be back in the classroom for live sessions 2 times this year. The first is something that is backed by, I'll say, popular demand. We are connecting RMCP to RMGS this year in Indianapolis. So if you're someone who wants to get certified, you want to double up and maximize your travel budget, you can come a little bit early for RMGS and stay a little bit, or come a little early for RMGS, start RMCP, stay a little bit after RMGS, finish up the RMCP program, and leave with your certification and a whole bunch of insights from RMGS. And then we'll be back in Cincinnati in August as well. And then, of course, we have our on-demand version if you need a little bit more flexibility schedule-wise. If you follow the QR code there on the right portion of the screen, it'll take you to our website where you can learn more about the program, see the full schedule, and register as well. And so with that, I want to finish with just a couple of things here. First and foremost, I want to thank our two sponsors of State of Resource Management 2025. Dayshape and Cantata, thank you again for all of your help and support, not just of State of RM, but of many of the RMI's initiatives. So we really, really appreciate everything you do to support what it is we're doing. So thank you for that. And I'll finish with a simple thank you. Thank you for all of you participating in this 11th annual State of Resource Management address. I hope you found some value in our observations, our research, and our leading practices as well. We wish you all the success in the world in 2025. And if we can be a part of that and help out, we would love to do that. And so thank you again, and we'll see you again soon. First coming up, March the 5th for our first Power Up of the year. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you.